Hi there, everybody. It's Peter Gallagher. It's the 25th of August 2015, and what I wanted to try and do this evening is digitise an old tape of Granny and Grandad Gallagher from Curraboy when they were interviewed. I think it was late 1980 in relation to their time spent, well, just reminiscing more so than anything about the 1916 Rising and their memories of that, and also Grandad's time in prison once he was arrested after his membership of the IRB, etc. And I find it very interesting. Almost every time I listen to this, I hear something new, and I hope you do too. So some of you have already heard this. I passed tapes around to some of the family a couple of years back, and then, as I say, this is just an attempt, I suppose, to digitize it. And then obviously I think we could possibly go to RTE to get better quality at some point, but hopefully you find it interesting. I think it's a good time to maybe share this as we're leading up to the 100-year anniversary of the 1916 Rising. A lot of this you'll see on TV shows, documentaries, etc., what they talk about. So it's topical and it's good. So hopefully you enjoy it. Here we go. About 30 minutes long or so. Hope you enjoy it.
In our house, there was two kitties at open heart, and in one was full of bullets, and the other one was the one they were using. Well, of course, the Times would never dream of opening the kitty. But a sure shot, if they were found that day, she said, that he was arrested, the whole house, they'd be all killed. They shot her ducks, her geese, her everything on the farm that was beside the house.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us once again. The voice there of 79-year-old Brigid Gallagher from Curraboy in South Roscommon, a woman who, together with her husband Paddy, was actively involved in the War of Independence some 60 years ago. Paddy, who's now in his 85th year, was a member of the South Roscommon Brigade of the old IRA, and Brigid was a member of the Tessara Company of Cumann and Mon. Both were still in their teens at the time. And although it's now almost 65 years since the Easter Rising of 1916, their memories of the events of that week and the long years of the War of Independence are still as vivid as if they had occurred only a matter of days ago. There are, however, fewer and fewer people who lived through that period still with us, and Paddy and Brigid are amongst the dwindling to whom historical researchers can still turn for first-hand memories of that struggle.
Well, at the time I was 14 years in 1916, and our teacher was a great Republican. She came from Kyoto, near Roscommon. And she had told us before that about the horse gun running. I was in 6th class myself at that time, or 7th, I think, and I was beginning to learn a lot about Irish history and get interested. But she came along. The story, communications weren't then as they are now. News didn't travel as quickly. So I think the Rising must be 2 days old before we heard her down here. So when we went back to school, our teacher had the little proclamation of the Republic, a very small writing, fiercest proclamation. And the country was there was great upheaval everywhere. Nobody knew what was going to happen next. A lot of people were full of fear that the British would shoot us all or come out from after one and come into every little village. And the people themselves, I think, didn't realise what was happening, or they didn't know, they didn't think that it was for the good of the country at all, a lot of them. Then, after that, came the executions. And all that month of May, every day nearly during the month of May, there was an execution. And we were all crying at school, and the teacher was crying. I well remember the day that Pierce was shot. I remember the day, I think Willie was shot the day after. But she always said, that it was a wonderful thing to die for your country. It was next to dying for that's our Lord died for mankind, and that any man that died for his country went straight to heaven. I said, all those martyrs in 1916 were all in heaven. They went straight to heaven.
Did you believe that at the time?
I did. I believe it now. I do. It is in the Bible. Greater love than this hath no man than lay down his life for his friends. Didn't they do that? and they were all in the full bloom of their manhood. They were all great men, all those 1916 rafters, but my hero was Con Corbett from the County Clare. He was very young and a very scholarly boy, and he went to his death smiling, and with his hands joined. And our teacher was telling us, was reading it off the paper for us. We were all crying, all us girls, and she with us. We cried all that month of May. It was a terrible month of May, one day after the other. There was MacBride, Connolly, and Joseph Plunkett, Con Corbett, Sean McDermott, Stuart Rahilly. I forget the rest of them. I think there were 16 altogether shot in Kilmena. All along that time, it was a terrible time. Everybody then, after the executions, everybody were up, and we called them the volunteers. Everybody was for the volunteers. Everybody was for the Republicans. Even dry halves. All became involved, and all began to see that England was our real enemy.
Paddy, how did you get involved with the volunteers?
Ernie O'Malley.
Ernie O'Malley, of course, organised us. And I was 6 was a chauffeur down for a while. And we got in with Sean Hurley, wasn't it?
Out from Athlone, yeah.
Out from Athlone. He was in Athlone. And we come home from Athlone in the speech. And we got our heads together and we said we wanted to organise in every parish. Branch of the IRA.
That's Irish Republican Brotherhood, I think it was at that time.
And so we did. And there was conscription in was threatened. And we got hundreds into the IRA.
Into the
organisation, that's right.
That was 1980.
So, when the White Stars came in and we all had to get our guns, and we had a rate for guns and got them, had them, didn't them all run away from the 26.
$6 from me, and of the former, of all that had
company.
Of the, all that Ernie O'Malley had.
We had at the fight for conscription, we had 35 or 36. And the lot of them resigned in all but 6.
Why did that happen, do you know, Paddy?
Because they were very close, they called it. And they we didn't want to upset their home, someone would say. And their daddy and their mammy, all this kind of thing. I said, I took one. And I had a daddy and a mammy. And it was a postman. I said, I stick it out. And I didn't try other for it.
And there were only six of you in the local company at that time?
And we kept it on being, yes. That was in 1918,
the time of
1918. We had the 6 anyway. Good fighting soldiers and well trained. And trained every night in the one place. Not in the one place, but a different place, a different field. And we'd go down to St. John's another night, and we'd go down to Kilrooski, down the Oroscommon, and meet there another night, and we'd all drill there. And the whole brigade, I remember Miss Bonnie, and we shot 216 the brigade.
And were you able to do all of this under the noses of the RIC and the Black Lieutenants?
The RIC couldn't put out their nose. They were shot every time they put out their nose.
About this time, Brigid, then, you joined Cumminamore?
Oh, yes, I was in Cumminamore at 19. But I didn't know him at the time. No, I knew him as a neighbour. I knew him that he was in the movement, but I didn't know that much about him. You wouldn't know much about people. And there wasn't a...
I'm giving you facts, and the truth.
They're not... these days, in those days, you see, there wasn't the transport there is now. You had to walk a lot of the places, sure, or cycle. Anyhow, I became involved. A girl from the Four Roads, and Nora Tracy from Roscommon. She was the organiser. She was Nick Brennan's niece.
Yeah.
And of course we were all full of enthusiasm for Free Ireland at the time. A few of us big girls in the 7th class joined up. Yeah. And I had the job. I was doing all the writing for them. More were making banners and flags. And I remember the 1918 election, making a flag. And this old man, who had a son in the RIC, had, in Clare he was stationed, wrote to him and told him if he didn't come home and leave that IC, he'd die with shame. So the son came home with a young wife and was kept in that house until they got their passage to America. From the County Clare, from a place called Labashida. You ever hear that? Well, they didn't know what side to put the green. So what side of the mast the green went to. But Brigid knew, because Brigid had seen, through Nora Tracy, part of the flag that covered Thomas Ash's cotton.
Very good.
And the green was to the mast. So we saw them on our sewing machines and made them for them. And this old man went to that election to put in Harry Boland with his pony on track and that flag tacked onto the handle of a twig.
And are you saying to me that in Roscommon at that time, people were completely unfamiliar with the tricolour?
They were at the read, they were unfamiliar with it. What? So the tricolour, nobody saw it until after Easter week. Nobody knew what it was and what it meant. What did it mean? Or that it was the green, white, to join the green and the gold together, the orange and the green. Wasn't that what it meant? But I never forget that day. And another thing I want to say about the Brennans, Jack Brennan. I never hear the soldier song on television. But I think of Jack Brennan. He was the first person I ever heard singing it. And he sang another, he was a wonderful singer. He lived up in Galway. He died in Galway.
When and where did you first hear the soldier song?
In the Four Roads, at his Keele. I think it must be the Keele I saw him at.
Well, in Athlone, first time I heard it, and Sean Hurler, he was his name, sang it.
Yes, he was a great
hurler. Sean Hurler.
You might hear of him.
He was an organizer. He had a big meeting in the mountain on a bicycle. And I was this more into the meeting. I never would forget it. And he sang it that day. And it got me to shook everything through. Took us over, split off.
There's one thing I'd like to tell you, when we are talking about the soldier song, is I never hear it on television or radio, but I say, God rest Jack Brennan. I never saw or heard anybody could sing it like him, even yet, with the gusto that he had. But those Brennans were fabulous people, and they never got the recognition they deserved. I want to say here and now, and I wasn't their side now. I don't want to be classed as a politician at all. I'd rather be a historian. But I will say that the Brennans, and the ups and downs and everything that followed, were treated badly.
Well, Brigid, during your Common Amon days, then, what kind of activity were you involved in?
Well, I tell you now, we used to go to a meeting, and the volunteers, we called them the volunteers. And they gave us such an amount of things to do. We had little concerts, to make up money for them. And we had...
clothes.
Yes, we did a course of first aid. We had a doctor that taught us first aid, a Dr. McGowan, who was from Bridewell.
The people look after them, wouldn't you?
Yes, and we had a lot of food in there to get for them, and if they were on their own and came in, we got food for them. But mind you, the food wasn't as plenty that time as it is now.
And had to do with any dangerous people.
Yes, I had to go to Ballygar one time. The Tans wrecked Ballygar and burned the house. There was an ambush in it, and they wrecked the town, and I had to go in to see how the land lay. And there was the captain of our company in the Four Roads, Tommy Kelly, couldn't go into Ballygar to have teeth pulled because of, he was the captain, and I suppose they had a map. You couldn't go outside the door. Everybody knew who you were. But I went into Ballygar anyway, and it was a weekend of 10. So I came home and told his mother that he had no chance. He couldn't go in. Because they were going into every house in Ballygar. And the dentist used to come from Ballinasloe only once a week, He didn't live there. So the poor lad was killed with toothache.
Were you given any training in arms or weapons at that time? Oh,
much just to hide the guns for them and know where they'd be in the hedges. I never pulled a trigger though. No. But I did, at the time of the Civil War, we did keep the fellas that was on the run in my old home, and we knew where they had their guns hidden, but we used to watch for them. But we used to watch for the other lads too, you know, because a fleet of lorries would come.
I was trained to arms and first class shot.
Yeah.
The company.
What kind of action were you involved in during that period, the War of Independence?
Well, anything that happens around the place I was in it. If I wasn't actually in the job, I was on the outskirts of it, on my way to it. See, we'd be forced, maybe 10 was here and 10 was 3 or 4 miles off, 10, see, on the road, we didn't have to say.
But you weren't involved in any ambushes, were you?
Well, I was in Scramwalk, and I was in, was there a couple of shops here and there?
Where that Captain Peak was.
Oh, yeah.
It's about from there, too.
Brigid, what are you taking out from under the bed there?
I'm taking out what his son brought him from Milwaukee.
Oh, that's a
But that's for a gun. He was a great person.
Yeah. Oh, there's the...
I thought for a minute it might be your old volunteer rifle you've got there all the time.
No.
It's a more dangerous looking weapon altogether.
No, them were all picked up.
The one that shot the Reagan the other day.
And the Civil War crowd. I didn't join the Civil War, no, remember that. I didn't fight the Civil War. And they're all there and went to the Civil War, and I can't give any account of that. Well,
you were captured and taken prisoner at some stage.
I was, yeah.
How did that happen?
That happened around my own house there. 5 black and tans come in one morning at day late, noon for January. There was someone that was back at the house, and 2 of them coming in their own and jumped in and dropped me, and I couldn't sure. I was in bed at the time. I was in bed at the time. And they tied me up and cuffed me, and off I go, and brought me into the zone.
I thought he hit you.
Huh?
I thought he hit you.
Oh, he hit me. He's everywhere. One of the other time he liked to get information out of me. It was no use. It was. But anyway, he got none that he wouldn't get none. And he knew it. So they left me in the door and then for 3 months, I think. And the court martialed me. And they found me guilty. And they sent me across to Dublin, to Mountjoy, and they sent me from Mountjoy to Pentonville. No, to one of my scrubs. And they stayed a while in one of the scrubs, and they took me from that there, and they sent me down into the centre of London, Pentonville.
Now, as I understand it, while you were in Pentonville prison, one of the men you were closely associated with was Tom Hales.
That's right, he was my covenant. And he suffered terrible torture from the Thames. But he was healed up when I got there. Do you understand? The Swedes just chopped those fingers.
There was no nails left.
They were pliers. And they took pieces out of his legs for to get information out of him. And they weren't able to get a budge. He was a wonderful man.
Well, as far as speaking about Tom Hales, I've heard Paddy say in his younger days when maybe his memory was clearer, that his fingers were flattened and that all the nails never grew again from being pulled off with the pliers, and that on his thighs, the marks of where those pieces taken was to be seen. They were just healing up when he saw them, but the prison doctors did look after him over there. You said the prison doctors looked after him.
They did, yeah, that's right.
Well, eventually, anyhow, you were released and you came back to Dublin.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Now, what state did you find the country in when you came back?
It was very poor. Very sad. Oh, Jesus, which is
The third time.
terrible.
Yes, but can't you imagine what it was like in the country with young boys dying to get a trigger, a revolver in their hands? And the British landed up.
They were split in two.
They were. They were split. And the same thing would happen today.
One another. One is shotgun. And they were the most united people. The Irish Republican Army, I went through every one of them for 3 or 5 years.
They come right, chicken.
I was from the start. They were the most united people in the world.
But then could I tell you?
Until the split come in 1921.
22.
Like George, the split them.
Well, Paddy, you took no part at all in the Civil War. You decided to stay out of it.
No, we stayed out of it.
I tell you the part, I went in the Civil War. I was for the Republican side.
Yes, but you tried to do...
Any way I could save them, I did it.
Did you try to make your peace
I done everything I could.
Yes, you went to an arbitration and tried to make peace.
I went everything I could to keep the peace. And I told them that it should be a losing war.
Before the
And I knew the peace, so.
They were distressing times for people like you who had been deeply involved in it.
Yes, and nobody... You didn't know where you were... You were torn between two. You wondered why you're doing right. You wondered was it right to accept the treaty or go against it. It was very hard to know what was the right thing to do for a person like we were. Well, not everybody. Of course, I was maybe a bit of a dreamer and maybe not a woman. I certainly hadn't a commercial mind. People with commercial minds, I think, wanted the treaty and they wanted Ireland to go on and have peace and ease and of course it was right to work and to make a living.
Of course, you also had some fairly strong direction or directive from the church.
Oh yes, of course, sure. The church didn't want the Republican side at all. You know that. And I remember during the time that before Sean McKeown's, at the time that Sean McKeown had that big Ballinelly ambush, you remember that? I heard of it. Well, there was a bishop there that wouldn't let in the one of the volunteers' bodies into the St. Mary's Cathedral. And the time came when McKeown was head here in Athlone and appointed, I thought he was on the platform with her.
The same bishop?
The same bishop. They went, oh God, if you put that down, I'd have all the priests against me.
Do you think that the priests... Indeed.
Oh, I think the priests were terrible.
Do you think that they were right or wrong at the time?
I think they went too far with it. The people got afraid of them. And in those days, people thought that a priest could turn you into a rat if you went against him.
Or put horns on him.
His mother was that way. She said the day of his court-martial, she was an Athlone, she wore a shawl on her. And the big, what would you call the fellow what would you call the court-martial, the man that, the president of the court? He asked her, did you know your son, he says, was a member of an illegal organisation? No, she said, I didn't. But the priest had told her, all right, that Father O'Flynn that you see there, not to give in, not to tell the truth. And she says, haven't I taken an oath and won't have you damned? No, he said, you won't. You're taking it, he said, in a just cause. And he says, you have no right to be here. That court, he says, has no right to sit there. Don't tell. So she said she didn't. When she came out, she told me that she didn't know where she was sitting or standing. And that she turned her shawl 50 times. Because she had told the lie, do you know what I mean? Because she knew. She knew that he had been. And she was a great woman too, because there was, in our house, there was 2 kettles at the open half. And in one was full of bullets. And the other one was the one they were using. Well, of course, the Tans would never dream of opening the kettle. But to sure a shot, if they were found that day, she said, that he was arrested, the whole house, they'd be all killed. They shot her ducks, her geese, her everything on the pond that was beside the house.
Well, people like Paddy's mother then here must have been very distressed.
Oh, our son gone. I have the letters in the house.
And having, as she would see it at the time, having to take a false oath, which
yes, wasn't that a terrible? Yes, she thought it was a terrible thing. And then he was the only son she had. Her other son was over in America, and she didn't know would he ever come back again. Once he left, she never thought that she'd ever see him again. How did she know? Wasn't everybody one that put up against the wall and shot by the Tans at that time? Wasn't it everybody that was caught shot? Sure, it was a miracle he wasn't shot. But if they had found, and there was another little place where he had something else, a little gun, and it was between over a little door, and you could put your hand in, and if they found that, he had a little revolver in it.
I had a little kitty at the fire on it for a chair.
Yeah.
Oh, that little kitty.
And you know what she told me? She saw them making. She saw himself and more other lads making their own grenades with bits of pots, bits of old pots.
If they didn't split that time, they get what they wanted.
He maintains that if they didn't split, that border would never be.
Not at all.
But sure, they were on the last leg, the Republicans. There was no more money, there was no more food, there was nothing. And then the people, and public opinion was for the treaty.
Oh, that's
Didn't they get in a big in the air, didn't they? It was not until 1932 did they get into power again.
Well, Brigid, at that time, were you aware of what was happening in Ulster and that there was
I was, of course. And
total opposition from
yes.
the unionist
Yes,
community there to the idea of a 32-county republic?
Certainly. And I remember spending one whole night arguing with a volunteer that had taken on his uniform and gone into the Free State Army, who I knew was a staunch Republican before that. And his answer to me was, "He who fights and runs away shall live to fight another day." It was that time it was supposed to be not forever, the border. It was to be a stepping stone to the full republic. I think that we were told that now. Well, but did Lloyd George want it that way?
Well, did you accept that was the reality of the situation?
Well, I did. Of course, everybody accepted it, that was going to be in the end, that Ireland would have her freedom. When all this would be, that by peaceful means, we didn't ever envisage what is happening today. But there was terrible atrocities in Belfast at that time. You've heard of families being wiped out and shot, and I remember the picture of the father and all the 5 sons being on the paper.
And away from that, there was any amount of them in prison where I was, waiting to be hanged. And the fruits that time, that facial, by taking it, relieved them that they weren't hanged.
But he was hanged that time.
Tom Hayes was supposed to be hanged.
Yes, and as we are talking about hanging now, last the 27th of March now, he was. I said you have 9 lives. You fell, I said, and broke your hip and got better, and was after spending a month or 2 in Galway, and you had 2 operations on your eyes. Yes, he said, and I was going to be hanged. He said, this day, 60 years. Brian and Tom Whelan and a Galway man, and Brian, a Dublin man, and Paddy Moore from Crossmare and the County Roxana. They were hanged in Mountjoy, and he was inside in it. And they didn't know, but they'd be pulled out as well.
Oh, possibly old.
They didn't know. They could have been. I have a lot of history, but I must put it down. You took me that in an opportune time. I haven't my teeth in or anything.
No matter.
Coming back to the question of the feeling of the people in the country in 1922 then, what was the reaction generally to the emergence of the Free State, and how did you see the Free State?
Well, I thought as the only means at that time. God knows we were sick. We were tired of a lot of people were tired of that terrible strain that was on the people. And then after that, then it was hard to know. History will have to deal with that. Mm-hmm. Not the whole story isn't told yet.
Well, what of the 6 counties then? How did you see the 6 counties at that stage?
I saw that it was. I thought myself. I am afraid that we were so complacent up here that we didn't think. We thought we were going to be all right, and that the 6 counties in time would come in. That we were told was to be a stepping stone to the Republic. And it was the best thing. It was the best thing they could do. The Collins couldn't get anything better. I don't really know, Jim. I don't know. I think myself that if they took their time, that the Unionists and all would begin to see the light. After all, you can't put the Unionists, you can't put them into the seas. They have the right to live too. The thing is, they weren't there always. They weren't there always. They only came in, with William of Orange. So they only came over that time. They weren't the true Irish people.
That was the greatest.
But as I say, they can't be bombed out of existence and put into the sea.
That programme was presented by Jim Fahey and produced by Porrick Dolan.
Now, folks, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. As I say, it's an amazing look back into their lives and the memories of the time, and obviously what I suppose all people experienced at the time. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And as I say, you know, every time I listen to that, I always hear a new name or hear a new place or a new opinion on something. It's a great little half hour to have on, maybe while you're driving in the car or something. That's what I usually do with it. So okay, thank you very much for listening. Take care. Bye.